I come from a country where I've seen poverty and I've seen what privilege can do. Having a life where someone gives you the opportunity can make a huge difference. Our creative lives, our entrepreneurship lives are built in the dark, like the lonely chapter. Last year, I went through panic attacks because I was having so much expectations and pressure. We're all in different seasons, we're all on different paths. Do I want future creative collaborations? Yes. I do feel this pressure to be out there and everywhere. Like, I think it's important to not let the stories of who we think we are inhibit us from where we want to go. Hello and welcome to another episode of Teaside Thursday with your artist friend, Win. And before we continue with this episode, can we just take a moment to appreciate the sunlight that is currently just filtering through this studio, because it is so beautiful, and I was going to do most of this video as natural lighting. So I have the big light just behind the camera, but it's put on like at a very low setting so that it helps when I start editing these videos to just give it a little bit more sort of brightness. But most of like what you see here, for me, like this is so aesthetic. It's aesthetic because for me personally, like it's real. I have like these, work in progress sort of tapes, and I have my sketches and a painting in progress like behind me. And when the sun starts like filtering through the studio on a morning like this, it just reminds me of the beauty around me, why I'm doing what I'm doing. And even though this journey can feel really hard sometimes, it makes me appreciate these little moments. So I just want to share that with you. And I'm not going to talk too much about this painting behind me, but it's really special to me. And I'm really happy to see this painting in sunlight glowing like this as well. So without further ado, let's get into what I'm drinking this week. And this week, our good old matcha is back. So I'm drinking the Perfect Ted, just their straight up green matcha without any other flavorings and sweeteners, as I nearly drop it. It's actually, normally clipped on, but I couldn't clip it back, and I wanted to have it here. It's messy, but I like it. I like it there. And I have to give a huge shout out to my mother-in-law, because she was the person who made this matcha happen this morning. So she's been watching my videos, and her way of support in this journey has been watching my videos and sort of just coming along on this journey with me, which I really appreciate. It makes me emotional to even say it, because every person who sort of cares about this journey as much as I do and sort of are willing to come on this journey with me, I'm truly grateful for. And she was watching like one of my Teaside Thursday episodes, and she heard me mention that my electric whisk broke. And I don't know if you remember, but the last few episodes of me having matcha on a Teaside Thursday episode, I actually struggled to get a decent matcha, because you don't make matcha just with a normal spoon. I found out doesn't really work in that way. You get clumps of matcha with hot milk, and wow, like I'm so excited to drink it, because I'll show you a video, like a little video insert, but it's so foamy. Like I feel like I'm about to drink matcha from a cafe right now. It's such an upgrade. So thank you to my mother-in-law, and let's get into this week's episode. But first, actually, let me take a little sip of this. It might still be hot, but we'll see. It's delicious. It's so delicious. It's foamy at the top, it's milky, but also the matcha flavor comes out. Like, this is like heaven, especially with the sun, with matcha in my studio. Like, this feels like a moment to be grateful for right now. So, this actually leads to the topic of this week's conversation, which is very personal. And I think that if you are in the journey of building your dream, if you're in a journey of pursuing something and creating your own path in life and sort of wandering through this very foggy, misty, and sometimes very chaotic, sometimes very disheartening path of not only a creative life, but also the life of what I call entrepreneurship, I would like to speak to an aspect of this journey, and I wanted to speak to it honestly and just share with you sort of my experience, or at least a part of my experience in this. So, one thing that I never really anticipated along this journey that I would be facing as a very stark reality are the feelings and experience of solitude and loneliness. So, when I went into this path, and I told everyone, my colleagues, my family, my friends, I'm going to pursue my dream. I'm going to become a professional artist and I'm going to, go for it. I'm going to do this. And that was the part for me, like jumping in. I think what you see sort of on a week to week basis is me sort of trying to appreciate the time that I have and doing things bit by bit. But when I made that decision, it was a complete jump into the unknown. But it was an optimistic jump, it was a hopeful jump. And I think that just like with any risks that we take in life, especially the ones that matter a lot to us, oftentimes I think in my journey, I started to realize how lonely it can be and how much time I will be spending a lot by myself. And I'm the kind of person who likes their alone time. Periodically, every now and then, I need the space to have my own thoughts without any other external influence. And I get very overwhelmed a lot of the times with a lot of noise, and I can tolerate it, and also I can sort of live with it and I can enjoy it, but I have a threshold that happens pretty quickly than most, I think, where I just find this need to, escape, like into nature, into mountains. I don't do very well in very busy cities. I find that I end up losing myself. And so I've often found that the places that I gravitate naturally towards, the places that bring me a lot of peace and groundedness, is places in nature, wilderness, and silence. But I'm also a social creature, and I think all of us as humans are to a certain extent. I think even if you are this like super duper extroverted person, I think even if you are this super duper introverted person, I think we often tend to like gravitate towards people who have similar interests to us, and we sort of form our own little bubble, whether it's like one or two people or I don't know, 5 to 10 people, it depends, right? And I like having meaningful conversations with people, and I like to know about people's stories, and I think I've mentioned this before in a previous Teesside Thursday episode. One of the reasons why I ended up staying as long as I did in my job, in my 8-year career as a landscape architect in the professional company that I worked for 8 whole years, was because I really loved the people. Like, it makes me smile just thinking about them, because my bosses, I really cared about just the whole sort of family atmosphere that they had, and the go-getters that they were, but also just the fact that they treated their colleagues as family and really brought us into the journey with them. And I felt a huge loyalty, and I really cared, and I wanted to work hard. At first, I worked hard because I was ambitious, but then over the years, when the years went by, I started to work because I actually wanted to help them. Like, that motivated me a lot more. Like, working as a team motivated me a lot more actually than just trying to sort of almost like make it, as a solo person. But that, I guess, is a huge sort of contrast to the life that I lead now, where that's one thing that I didn't anticipate, is even in my work time, how much time I'll be spending like in solitude. And I think the thing about this current journey that I'm on, which you might be able to relate to, is how personal it is. Like, when you have a dream, like, my dream is personal to me, at least for the time being. And I think it has to be personal to a certain extent, right? Like, I want to build a meaningful artistic career that not only sustain myself financially, but also sustain my family. And I ultimately want to make money from selling my paintings to help other people, because I come from a country where I've seen poverty and I've seen what privilege can do. Having a life of privilege, having a life where someone gives you the opportunity, can make a huge difference. And one day in my life, I would love to be able to extend the kind of opportunities that I have to other people who need it, who want it. Because I believe that life is for expression. Like, life is also not just to get up, go to work, make money, come back, and sort of be in a loop of a capitalistic society, but also make meaning out of it somehow. And I know that we all approach work in different ways. And I know that personally, from the way my husband and I approach work is very different. But if you're in a similar feeling and thought to me, then I know that you can relate to sort of, this inner sort of passion and drive that really, I think, propels us to take risks, like leaving the whole career that you thought you were going to be building for the rest of your life, and starting something completely new. There are lots of great things along this journey, like the ability to think independently and to shape and craft how this ecosystem of creativity and business that I'm building is, to be honest, like hugely inspirational, even for myself. I see my own journey and I also get inspired from it. But let's also talk about, the aspects of things that can come with making such a decision, and that can sometimes lead people down paths where they didn't expect, and they might just give up on their dream altogether. Because I want to speak to those parts, because I don't intend on giving up this dream. And I want to share the difficulties with you, because I want to share the realities. I want to share my journey as a whole perspective and not just one aspect. And also, I want someone who might be in a similar situation to me to know that they are not alone. So, solitude and being able to spend a lot of time by myself is one thing, but loneliness is also another. And lately, I've been reflecting a lot on friendships and conversations with friends and just what that means in my life at the moment. I met up with a girl recently and I think she's such a cool person. We went out for brunch and went to Pilates together and it was really fun. And I thought that I would have time to actually like do Pilates every week and, be amongst this little like community that's in my city. But as it turns out, there's just a lot going on with my life currently. And it made me feel a little bit sad because I really liked this, human, and I wanted to sort of spend more time around her, spend more time getting to know her. And granted, I think there will be more opportunities, but it just made me reflect on what do I want and what does the role of relationships and connection mean in my life at the moment? Because let me tell you that besides, sort of spending time with my husband, which I really value, we prioritize having dinners together and stuff like that, and having evenings together. But besides that, like I spend a majority of my time like by myself, whether it's painting, being in the studio, editing, coming up with ideas, planning, going to the gym. Like a lot of my time is spent by myself. And there is this social expectation that I feel sometimes. And that was what I was trying to distinguish, you see, because I thought that because I just had different priorities at the moment that I wasn't like putting in the effort to make new friends, to get to know new people. And currently it is a pressure that I feel, and I feel it because I see it on social media. I see it because other people are living a very different life from me. And I feel this pressure to have to like go out there and connect. Like, should I live in a big city so that I I'm having these connections that will, propel me to sort of have connections for my career, also collaborations. And should I be focusing on that? And should I be, joining these communities so that I have an aspect of social life? And it comes down to time and time again, like I felt so much of this pressure like over the last 1.5 years that it comes down to almost like a similar conclusion, which is that there's only so much time in a day. And at the end of the day, I always end up choosing my creative path and my career over developing even just like friendships where you do a hobby together and you hang out and that's that. Especially recently and for the longest time, like I felt really guilty about it because I really felt like I just wasn't doing enough and that I should be doing enough. Like I should also be almost like, excelling in this area. But can I talk to you about how much time it takes to develop like a real friendship and also just how much energy it takes to develop a connection with people and develop trust with people? I have 3 people who I consider in friendship like my closest friends. I feel like they're the people in my life who, if there's something wrong, I can call them and I can be like, hey, like, can I talk to you? Because I'm really going through this. And they will be there for me. And I trust that because I've known these people for at least 5 years, if not more than 10 years. And that kind of relationship, I think, isn't built just out of thin air. Like, it's built through many conversations that you hold, how you continue, I think, to support each other, even if you are going down different paths. And I really cherish these friendships, and I wish that I am able to have more of that in my life. But the reality of the situation is I'm just in a different season right now, and that's a very hard thing to accept sometimes. And I want to speak to that part. I want to speak to that sort of internal difficulty, internal emotion, internal conflict, because it's a very real thing. Most of the time, like, we see people with successful businesses, successful art careers, but you're also only seeing a part of life that they have curated and edited, because I don't think a lot of us who are sharing on the internet also want to share anything and everything about our life, and I also keep parts of my life, private. But I do want to speak to these experiences because I think it not only informs my life and myself, but also I think it informs my art. I think it also helps us hopefully like realize that the journeys that we take, like no matter what journeys we're on, no matter what seasons we're on, like it's not absent of sacrifice. And that to me is the hardest thing to accept, especially as someone who has I put a lot of pressure on myself. I'm a huge perfectionist, and I can be the first one to put my hand up and say that to you. It's something that I'm realizing more and more within myself, and I expect myself to be good at everything. I expect myself to be able to do everything. I do listen to my body, and I do listen to my thoughts and my brain, which when it gets overwhelmed feels like it's screaming to me, and I have to listen to it and I have to adjust accordingly. And I guess one of the things that I realized, especially about this path that I'm on, this kind of societal pressure to be here and there and everywhere, is kind of can paint a very distorted part of reality, which is that sometimes, a lot of the times, it's spent, our creative lives, our entrepreneurship lives are built in the dark, like the lonely chapter, the chapter where, at least in the beginning, like we may have to solve problems by ourselves because like we just haven't found the people that we resonate with, who we naturally bond with, who we feel a connection around, who we trust. And I think a lot of the times we start off like by ourselves, at least for some of us. And this is especially reflective of this journey that I'm on. Like, I understand that my husband can support me as best as he can. My family can support me as best as they can. My in-laws, like my mother-in-law, my friends, like you guys, right, who are here actually with me on this journey and listening and commenting and liking and supporting, like it means so much. But I also know that you can only support me to the best of your ability, and I'm grateful for that, and I appreciate that so much. But at the end of the day, like, it comes down to sort of me in a way where, because I made the decision, like I'm responsible to see it through to fruition. And I do want somewhere down the line of my creative path to have more creative collaborations with people. But I'm very sort of particular in a sense where I connect with people, but not everyone. And I make friends with people, but only a few people are close to me, you know, and I can easily sort of talk away like to people and be social and be out there, but there are only a few in my close circle. So because I'm a little bit particular in that way, and maybe you can resonate, I don't know. But because of that, I know that like these people are out there, and I know that at some point there will be more like creative collaborations with people that I connect with who just feel very aligned. For example, one of the three close friends that I have, like she started her art journey like similarly around the same time as me. And she creates art for herself in the beginning, and even now she creates art for herself because she also has a lot of personal challenges in life, and art helps her to, you know, find peace. And this year, like she approached me and she said, hey, like we should do a painting together. So her and I have actually been collaborating on a couple of paintings. And oh my God, this makes me so excited. I need to reach out to her and I need to go visit her because she has two paintings in her house at the moment. One that I started that she has continued on, and one that she started that I will continue on. So in a future art vlog, I will definitely share those paintings with you. But it's so exciting and it's so fun and it's so natural. It's so easeful. And I think at this stage in my life, especially being in my 30s, like I feel like things that feel easeful and natural are also the things that are meant to be, in a way. So because we've been creating art together and she's been creating her own collections, like I seriously like shout out to her because I think that's so bold, like to be like, hey, like I'm gonna create a collection and let's make an exhibition together, she said. So you see, like I am here like sharing things like on the internet, but I find such courage in the fact that she wants to do like a physical in-person exhibition. So I said, okay, like let's do it. So the plans are still not even started because we've been, I think, on our own journeys personally right now. But you know, we've started that conversation, but that sort of thing just feels like fun. It feels easeful. It feels like something you want to take part in, right? Like I feel like that. And I think that sometimes those sorts of like creative collaborations that feel like that are actually the best ones because they're not forced. Like, you know, they're not like, I have to do this, so I have to get this done, and I have to finish this, and I have to excel in it. And I'm saying it in a very robotic voice because that's how I sense it in my brain when it gets really in this perfectionist mode, like a robot, you know, like wanting things to be in order, like straight away, and thinking that things work in order when I think what this journey is telling me is everything is like feedback loops. You do one thing, you get some feedback, you iterate and you do it again, you get more feedback, you iterate, you do it again. Like the journey is very circular, it's not linear at all. And that's what I mean. Like, and one day maybe we will have Teesside Thursday episodes in person where I'll actually host in different cities and countries where I'll actually get to hear your stories, what you're going through, what your dreams are, because I would love that, you know. I would love to build my own character so that I'm confident enough to do these things. But like just having opportunities like that would be amazing, right? But right now I'm in the nitty-gritty of things. Like right now, like I'm literally learning about how to put down different brushstrokes on a canvas. What kind of colors I like, what I like to paint. And those are the things that neither my friends, neither my husband, my family, my in-laws, you guys like can't do for me. Like I have to do it for myself. And I also have to find the reasons of why I like to do what I do and come back to that time and time again when things get discouraging. I do feel this pressure to be out there and everywhere, move to a big city, be like talking to people. But then I know that that's also not me. In a recent art vlog video, which is out like in March, like the first art vlog for March, talks about identities and breaking out of our old stories and identities, which I do feel like is a very important thing. Like I think it's important to not let the stories of who we think we are inhibit us from where we want to go, the things that our hearts are calling towards. But at the same time, I also think that it is also good to respect like your inner mechanisms. So for example, when my brain is feeling so overwhelmed and all over the place, if I'm meeting so many people at once, maybe it's a signal that I need to sort of get to know people at a calmer, slower pace in the way that I appreciate, in the way that I want to develop relationships, you know? Like, I think life is always not black and white. I think there are always nuances in this way, and I'm learning to respect that. I'm learning to respect my own sort of preferences. Do I want future creative collaborations? Yes. Do I want to build real relationships with you guys on YouTube? One day, meet more of you guys in person. You know what I would love? Like, I would love to actually go to a new city where you are and be like, hey, I'm coming here. Let's hang out. And I think that would be really fun, you know, just have a conversation with some tea about life, about our dreams, you know, in person. Let me see what you're making, what you're creating. Like, that's so fulfilling for me when I see people who are like passionate and like love sharing their stuff. Like, it inspires me, and I would love to see more of that. Would I love to have sort of these sorts of relationships like this through these online platforms that I'm building? Hell yes. Like, I would love to go to a new city and you show me like your city, and maybe I get to share aspects of my culture with you too, you know? Who knows? But the possibilities are endless, right? So I see sort of my presence on here as something real that I'm building, as much as I'm currently alone sitting with a microphone and some tea talking in front of a camera. Do I want to build relationships with my collectors? I do. I want to get to know their stories. I want to get to know what made them resonate with my art and why that is, you know, like that is so meaningful for me. I think because I hold these things so much in my heart as something that I would love to create in the future, I'm holding that as almost like an expectation of what it should be now. The beginnings of any career, I think, is very patchy and rough. Like, I feel like I am a boat, you know, sailing through the storms in the open sea. Like, that's how I feel like. And that's not to say, you know, there are days when, oh my gosh, you know, suddenly I see the moon, like at night, I see the sunlight here and it brings so much fulfillment. Does it do that? Oh, hell yes, it does. I think that the reality of building something can actually be very jarring, because I think as creative people, as people who can think in any possibilities, and that is why we can create the work that we do. We can sort of go down different tangents and just be in our little creative bubble that is so connected to the entire universe of ideas and inspiration, and is amazing. But I think sometimes we can lose touch with what is happening in the present moment. And I think that for a lot of us, including myself, if I don't have conversations like this, can feel like, because the reality isn't matching up to this idealistic sort of intentions and dreams and heartfelt desires that we have, it can feel a bit disappointing sometimes. And I think that that is why a lot of people give up. Like, I don't know if you've seen the same thing, but recently I've been seeing, and maybe it's because of the type of content that I'm creating, I see on my YouTube recommendations page, like a lot of videos about artists who are making videos about, I created my art business in 1 year and here's what I learned, which is actually really interesting too. Like, I've watched a couple of them and some of them are really good. But also I've also seen videos like why I'm giving up on becoming a full-time artist, and it makes me feel really sad when I see these videos. And it makes me feel really sad because I know how hard this journey is, and I know how much I struggle sometimes emotionally, spiritually, physically. I don't know if you know that last year I went through panic attacks because I couldn't breathe, because I was having so much expectations and pressure and so much on my brain of how I think things should work out. I couldn't sort out the different aspects of my life with the creative life, this entrepreneurial journey that I'm building. It taught me a lot, actually, like that experience of having panic attacks. And let me also tell you that I get it from time to time still. What I mean by that is it's not full on, I can't breathe. But when I have so many things in my brain that I can't sort out logically in my head, I physically can't breathe. And I've never had that experience until last year when I had a full-on panic attack. I think there's a relation to me going full-time to pursue my dream as a professional artist and these panic attacks. But what is, our body, if not organisms that are like talking to us? So I'm learning to take things one step at a time, and I'm learning to slow down, and I'm learning to see things from a bigger perspective. And that's why it makes me really sad, because I think that when I came into it with my rose tinted glasses on too, like I thought that I had to do everything and anything at once. Like I had to jump for any opportunity. I had to sort of start, selling my work before I felt ready. Even though I learned a lot from each of the experiences that I've had so far and the mistakes that I've had so far, I also realized that these phrases like going full time to become an artist, and also this time aspect of a year, can actually be very, I think, misleading, because just like the friendship thing that I talked to you about, right? Like that I feel like when I reflect over the 3 really beautiful closest friends that I consider people I can count on, like they were built through multiple small conversations, multiple small moments, multiple experiences of witnessing each other at different stages of our lives. And that was over time. And I don't know if it is 100% possible and sustainable to build something that truly lasts without allowing things to take their time. And honoring that aspect of time itself is what I'm learning. So coming back to, this feeling of loneliness and this experience of solitude, I'm learning at the moment, I think, to be okay with the fact that I do spend a lot of time by myself. I'm learning to find pleasure in small moments, like having conversations with people at my local gym, and just allowing that to be just a moment for itself that brings a sense of connection with other people. I'm learning to honor that my time is limited. So that means that, if I am not able to prioritize friendships in the fullest ways, connections in the fullest ways that I would like to, or I expect myself to be, I'm learning that I'm just learning to accept that, because I just don't know how else to do it. If I'm doing this and that and everything, I know that my creative work will suffer, because I've been there. Like in my 20s, I was doing like so many creative endeavors, and I actually really encourage that. Especially in your 20s. Even, at any age, to be honest, like if you are in that season to just push, like discover and explore and create, honestly, if it makes you feel good, go for it, seriously. But for my personal experience, was one thing that I took away, actually, especially my late 20s, was I was looking so outward. I was so externally focused on people pleasing and having the fear of missing out, feeling like I need to express myself creatively in all ways, that I think in a way I lost myself a little bit. So there are advantages of spending a lot of time by myself. Like I'm learning to find out more about myself. And I have to love myself because I'm spending so much time with myself. And I have to be gentle to myself because I'm spending so much time with myself. And that's new for me because I am very hard on myself. So being gentle with myself, you might think that, I don't know, from the conversations that we've had so far and the experience that you have with me here, you might think that this is my natural state, but it's the hardest thing that I do is to be kind to myself. I don't know if it's possible to go through this life experience without seeing things on the internet. Like I see, for example, like my sister leading, like, I would say, a very content, very happy, very adventurous, very fulfilling life. But it's so different from mine. She has a regular job. In her spare time, she focuses on her hobbies and her friends, and those are the things that she has sort of found fulfillment in, and she sort of doubles down on that, really, to cultivate like an amazing sense of community, at least from what I can see, an amazing group of friends. And that's the thing that I talked to my therapist about in one of our sessions. Is she said that we can't underestimate the power of community for our well-being, because what happens is, she said, and I do feel it, when I'm sat down with the people I trust, the people that I can have a conversation with, the people who support me, I feel this sense of like groundedness in my body. Like my body feels safe. And it feels so good, especially if you're someone who's had experiences where in your life you had to like go through a lot of like fight or flight responses, which is what I had growing up, coming from an abusive household. Like my sort of internal state was always in fight or flight. So it feels so good, like when you are just around people that you can count on, who support and love you. That's why I think also I feel that sense of like, I think maybe comparison, but also this social expectation, societal expectation that, oh, it looks good, like I want to have a bit of that. Sometimes the season that I'm on just requires a different kind of sacrifice, a different kind of sort of grit, a different kind of appreciation also, because starting your own path, building your own career, I think in my own experience, what I'm finding is your life looks very different to other people's. No one really understands fully your vision, your drive, your inspiration, as well as you do. Like, I don't think anyone can, even the people who love me and support me the most, understand fully my full vision and my full inspiration. That experience alone can also feel very lonely. But I think, and I'm hoping, that the reward of trusting in my own journey is that along the way, I will meet people who have traveled through similar paths at some point, and I will find that sense of community and connection. I just wanted to share this journey with you, and I hope I haven't rambled too much about this experience, but I do want to bring you the whole experience of this path that I'm on and shed a light on it. Because I think these conversations, this time of reflection, actually helps me and hopefully us as a collective, like, take a step back from what we're doing and realize that we're all in different seasons, we're all in different paths, and I come and I speak to you about these things not because I've solved my loneliness or I've solved my time in solitude. If anything, I'm talking because I'm struggling to accept this phase of life and this particular sacrifice that I feel like I am making. I hope this episode resonated with you or helped you understand a little bit about this journey. And thank you so much for joining me in this episode. I will see you in the next Teesside Thursday episode. Bye. Also, I highly recommend you check out the art vlog of this painting because I'm so excited to edit it. I think it's going to be a really good one. Thank you. Bye. I sing this softly to myself. I sing this softly.